Polyvagal Informed Therapy. What is it? Again, recently I had the great honour to meet in person Stephen Porges. I'm not really into heroes, but you know, he was a bit of a, I owe a debt of gratitude to Stephen, as I think actually we all do, but I certainly owe a debt. Stephen's work has been very much around the vagus nerve and its involvement in stress, shock trauma, and that's been his work for decades, since the 60s and 70s. Vagus nerve is very much the nerve of the moment, and you know, unless you've been living in a cave or under a rock, you probably heard about trauma and you probably heard about the vagus nerve. So polyvagal theory really has informed many different forms of therapy. So there are many forms of therapy informed by the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is the largest parasympathetic nerve in the body. It is the sort of sedating side. It's the brake, what's sometimes called the vagal brake. If we get activation in our system, we need to run for a bus or we have a fright or something, then the sympathetic nervous system will become activated. That's normal, it's natural. And then we should, if we're in capacity and the tolerance, the window of tolerance as it's sometimes called, there's a sort of, it's like a river. And if there's trauma is too much, too fast, for too long, or in the case of neglect, not enough. Now if you imagine a river and then there's rain, if it rains too much, for the capacity of that river, it will flood its banks, and that leads to what we call a trauma vortex. Now, a trauma vortex at the top, I'm doing a very interesting visual here with my hands, I don't know whether you can imagine it, is that's high activation, that's fear, fight, flight, but actually if we can't fight, flight, then we may take that energy into a counter vortex right down here and go into a freeze response, or an immobility or a dissociation. Sometimes we can be in one, we can be in the other, or very often we'll have our foot on the brake and the accelerator at the same time, very exhausting, and the system can't really regulate. Now, of course, the vagus nerve and the sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic, are controlling all of the organ functions within the body. So health is really important. You know, this isn't just about stress, this is about organ function and disease. This is why this is such important work, and why we really do owe a debt of gratitude if we're going to move healthcare forwards in this country or in the modern world. I think we really need to understand the impact of overwhelm and the nervous system in its capacity alongside the immune system and the inflammatory system in terms of creating disease in later life. So anything which really encompasses how the autonomic nervous system is involved in chronic pain, in overwhelm and in disease, and how the vagus nerve has a role to play in how we go about therapeutically resolving those things, could really be called polyvagal informed therapy. So often what we're trying to do, I like my analogies, is, and I was having a chat recently with my friend Deepak Ravindran, and he was chatting about the vagal nerve stimulators and saying, yes, well, what about this? And I said, well, look, that's great. I said, but we can do it organically. There are other ways that I can help people to engage that, either through touch or sounds or, you know, music therapy or sounds or vibrations, or there are ways that we can naturally, organically stimulate the vagus nerve. And actually I think they tend to be better because then we're not relying on some external stimulus to do that. But I do think there's a place for those people that have got, you know, find it very difficult to access that parasympathetic. But the most important thing is, I said to him, look, you know, it's not just about stimulating the parasympathetic nerve. Yeah, this isn't, we've got to fly the kite in the wind. If you're going to resolve trauma, it isn't just about calming it all down. What you've got to do is you've got to be able to lean into this trauma vortex. So we've got this river, we've got this overwhelm, it's too much, too fast, and it's pulled us off. Now, if you were going down a river and you know, you'd had too much rain, or you were canoeing down and there'd been a breach in the riverbank, you would feel it pulling you into the vortex. Or if you've ever been swimming around the rapids with the kids and you think, oh, that's enough, we're going to go off and we're going to go off to the pirate ship and do something else in the swimming pool now, and all of a sudden, if you haven't got your feet, you can feel it pulling you. Oh no, we're going back around again, right? That's what it can feel like to be in a trauma vortex, because it will take you there. So how do you do it? Well, you have to anchor your feet on the ground. So that's the vagus nerve's role, is to be able to go, can we though, hang on a minute, this kite's getting taken by the wind. Yeah, but I've got a really good hold on this rope, so that's okay. Yeah. So if we're gonna get into a capacity to actually go into the vortex slightly, even slightly, then we need to make sure we've got the vagus online. And that's really, you know, Stephen Porges' idea of training the vagal brake to be able to stop the accelerator going crazy. Yeah, that's a massive oversimplification for a very, very huge subject. And you know, Steve, if you're watching this, I hope I haven't done you a disservice. So, Polyvagal Informed Therapy is anything that really understands what I've tried to describe there within any form of therapy, that then sees it not just being a cognitive process or a kind of passive body-based process, and understanding how the autonomic nervous system plays a massive part in trauma, stress illness and chronic disease. Hi, I'm Roger. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons.